Have you ever wondered, what is the best way? What's the key to success? What's the best thing I need to do to build a profitable business coaching practice? That's what we're discussing today on this episode of the Business Coaching Success Podcast. Let's dive in. BJ O'Neill here with the Business Coaching Success Podcast. So glad you're here, where I share with you strategies, tools, and tips to be able to grow your business coaching practice to six figures and beyond as a Christian business coach. Let's jump in. Welcome. BJ O'Neill here, building relationships over selling. The key to coaching success. That's the discussion today. That's what I want to share with you. I've got several things, I want to add value to you and really open up your mindset about what's needed and what's necessary to becoming successful to develop a long-lasting, profitable business coaching practice. And I'm going to give you some key insights, going to give you some case studies, going to give you some things to consider and some practical things that you can begin to do today, or you can begin to do today to become successful. Real quick, if you are considering, you've been thinking about coaching, maybe perhaps you coach for free now, you love making an impact, you want to help businesses grow financially, you want to grow the business, doesn't matter what kind of business it is, you just don't know where to start, resources, tools, you don't have that. Well, that's exactly how we help seasoned Christian men with a full-blown, done-for-you, systematic approach to building a very profitable business coaching practice. You can go to businesscoachmastery.com. That's businesscoachmastery.com. Some information there that you can get. You can book a chat if you'd like to do that, where we can share with you exactly how we can help you. That way we can determine with you if it's worth learning more about for yourself. Building relationships. In our coaching network, we have dozens and dozens and dozens of guys all over the country. And this is what we discuss all the time is, what are the activities needed? What are the things that I'm going to do? What's required of me in building a successful coaching practice? If that means 3 clients or if it means 15, and everybody's needs and desires and purposes are very different from another, right? But it all requires one thing: relationships. And you probably have seen, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and all the likes, build $20, $30, $40, $50,000 a month, and all of that is transactional. And by the way, they're talking about top line revenues. They never tell you how much money they're spending in expenses, which is usually the same or higher, because transactional efforts, in my view, that's just my opinion. You don't have to agree. Transactional efforts just doesn't have the same bite to it is when you are truly holistically, you care about the needs of that individual that you want to help grow the business, okay? So let me give you some things to consider. When we talk about just understanding the difference between selling and relationships, here's a very fast context. And I'm not picking on pest control companies, but it's the first thing that came to mind. Very normal for pest control companies to utilize, door knocking strategies to sell their product, right? Meaning, you've got the guys who canvass the neighborhoods, they knock on the door, and they want to talk to you about that service. Here's the reason why that's transactional. Their goal, their number one purpose and their number one goal is specifically to do one thing: to get you to sign up for their monthly service. That's it. And whether you work with them or not, you'll likely never see that individual again. That's a byproduct of just transaction, selling that specific service, okay? Well, a lot of coaches do a version of that today, and it doesn't work in trying to sell their coaching services. Context. Let's say that you go to a networking event, you go to a business breakfast in your market, in your local neighborhood, sponsored by somebody, you go there, and everything that you're doing, your energy, your conversations, the people that you interact with, it's just all about, what you do and how you can help them. And you do it right out of the gate, not taking any time into context about learning about them. What's their highs? What's their lows? What are they going through? How long have they had that business? What's their goals? What are they trying to achieve long term? Where are they stuck, right? Like we don't spend time in evaluating any of that. We just go there and give them the pitch. We try to get them to a conversation to go to the next step. And I'm not going to say that's like wrong. It's just hard, number one. Number two, most people are, it's an irritant, if I'm being honest. It's not conducive that you care. You're not expressing any type of empathy to listen to what they're going through. So how can you really help them if you don't really know where they're at, what they've tried before, what has worked, what's not worked, and so on. And so, but it happens all the time. So that's a version of transactional in that context of a networking event. And I would encourage you not to do that. Instead, we want to truly build the relationship. Think about a relationship building. If you go to church, I hope you do. If you go to church and, and if you're a part of a life group or a small group or whatever, some kind of class, you are building harmony and you're building community with those individuals. You're getting to know them. Week after week and month after month, you're learning more about their world, stories about their families, stories about their life. And that's helping you to understand what they're going through and how you can potentially make an impact and add value to their life. I go to a weekly early morning men's group, and I'm getting to know guys, their worlds, their challenges, their successes, things that bug them, that's what relationship building. And so that's a context to go, well, how do I do that? And still, I do have to sell my service. I do have to get paid. I do have to have clients. And it's just a mindset shift of understanding when you begin to look at the individual, that business owner. And it's not just about growing the profits of the business, although that is exactly what we're going to do. We want to care about them. We want to care about what they go through. We want to care about why they've struggled to get where they are. We want to celebrate with them on the wins that they've had and what they've, kind of just the brick walls that they've had to bust through to get there. And it all starts about serving them. It is about caring for their needs. It's about truly empathizing with them. It's about applauding them. It's about patting them on the back and giving them, a firm, kind of hug and a handshake when they need it. It's giving them affirmation when they need it, regardless if they're a prospect, regardless if they're a client. I believe that God's called us to have a mindset and a mentality that goes way above and beyond selling. Now, selling is clearly a byproduct of all of the relationship activity. And I'm going to give you some examples here in just a minute. But that's the difference. When we care, when we nurture, when we're there for them versus when we're just trying to get them to buy something. That's the big difference, okay? The next thing is understanding the power of authentic connections. God created you. God created me. He created the way the body's designed. He created the way our brains work. He created all of the what's the word, neurological aspect of who we are. In other words, just why you do what you do. I'm moving my hands right now. If you're not watching this on video, I'm moving my hands as I talk with my hands. God's created that process mentally, that as I'm expressing emotion, as I'm expressing words, as I'm informing phrases on how my hands and my fingers can move. Isn't that crazy? Well, we understand that God created us the way that we are and the way that we work. We then go a step further regarding relationships. When we study and we understand what makes people tick, how we can truly build a relationship with someone that we've never known before and get them to buy into us so that they know us, like us, and trust us. Here's a couple of things and I talk about this on the podcast and our trainings all the time because it's something that I think a lot of people don't think about and don't understand. And that is the chemical releases that when we are building social awareness to someone and vice versa when we're just trying to sell. So for instance, if you're in that networking event that we talked about and you're just trying to sell somebody on a service, that's where the fight or flight cortisol, that stress hormone kicks in, where people begin to build that wall and they don't want to hear from you. Okay. And it doesn't mean that they're not interested, by the way. It's just that most people don't want to be sold in that nature. That there's an abrasion to it. And so you get this chemical release, which can prevent your ability to actually move the relationship forward. Okay. Versus when you're building relationship, when you're listening, when you're asking great questions that build relationships, when you're getting people to open up their mindset, when you're helping them to see things that they've never seen before, you get other chemical releases that begin to make them feel good. They're social bonding. And I have a whole training on just this alone, that it's all about helping them it feels good. Dopamine, all the mixtures of chemicals that's sending subconscious signals to them that says, I like this person. I am enjoying their relationship and my time with them. They are adding value to me. Now, they may not be saying those words, but that's the feeling. That's the reason why we call it the power of authentic relationships and connections, is because you cannot prevent this. You can't prevent it, period. And so when we care, people, they feel it, they understand it, and it checks a box. Now, does that mean that they're just gonna hire you as their coach? It does not mean that. What it does mean is suggests that you're going to build authenticity with them to build a strong relationship, and that's why that it matters. The next thing is we want to in building these relationships. We know the difference now. We understand we want to build authenticity. We want to find wins. We want to create wins for prospects and clients. We want to find different ways. Wins just simply means helping someone see that something they can't. One of my favorite things to do is that when someone is sharing a challenge with me and some problems, and as I'm understanding and learning it, I may ask a question, well, have you ever thought about doing X? Okay? Whatever that and essentially what I'm doing is I'm providing a potential solution. Now, they may have tried it. So one, they may say, actually, we did. Oh, okay. Well, what was the results of that? And you begin to walk down that road. Or they may say, I've never thought about that before. Well, that's a little bit of a win. That's a little bit of a small win. You're essentially, you're investing and making deposits into their world. And every time that you're able to open up their mind to where they go, I've never thought about that, or I didn't know that, or I didn't realize that, they're building equity, or you're building equity in them. And that's what strengthens the relationships. And it all happens from small, quick, little wins. Have you ever thought about this? Or, if you have their email or their text and you see an article about their industry that could be positive or negative or things to be able to pay attention to, saying that, hey, saw this and I thought of you, right? It recognizes that you are thinking about them and there could be something in that content that could be valuable. Or, I prayed for you today, just wanted you to know it. Or, the other day I was at Barnes & Noble, the bookstore. I like to go there from time to time and just, see the titles, read some things, and it's just a great place for me to kind of reset my brain and learn some content and write down some titles of some books that I don't have or I want to reread or whatever. But maybe, I had a conversation with you and I came across a book that connected to that conversation. I might take a picture of that, send it to you. Hey, saw this book, thought about our conversation the other day. Might be a good read for you. That's a win. So when you're doing these types of things, you're creating that authenticity. Now, recognize we've not even talked about the actual parts about coaching, because this is all about the foundational principles of building relationships, and that's why it matters. Going a little bit long on this episode, that's okay. I'm going to give you several different actual examples of how this works in terms of building that relationship, but I need to move them to the next step to convert them from prospect to client. One, let's say that you are at that networking event. And I've gotten to know you. I don't know you at all. I get to know you. I meet you. I share about what I do. You share what you do. And I'm going to start to ask probably 2 to 3 questions get to know you a little bit more. That's it. I'm not sharing about me because all I care about is building relationship with you. So I might say after our little conversation, I don't know if you're open to it or not, but I'd love to, grab coffee. Who knows? It sounds like we have some commonalities. Perhaps there's ways that we can work with one another and help one another out in growing your business and growing mine. Who knows? I might ask that there, or I might ask it in a follow-up, right? Either way, I'm likely in that case going to find a way to spend additional time with you to build the relationship further. If all you do is talk about business principles only, you're not leaving time to get to know them, and you got to get to know them. So that's an example just in networking. Let's say it was a referral. Let's say that a friend of mine connected me to someone through email. All right, I may say, hey, Love to just jump on the phone with you and get to know you a little bit more and see how we potentially could grow a relationship together. Like, I love that term, to grow a relationship together. So many people, though, utilize to see how I can help you or, whatever. Say things that really shows that you want to build a relationship. Because here's the thing. Maybe they don't become a client. But what if they introduce you to somebody who will become a client? That's the whole reason why you should always be working to expand your network through relationships, right? When people are on the streets and they're becoming evangelists for you, that is the holy grail of coaching. You want them to be out there and say, have you ever met, this person or that person? Oh man, you need to do that, right? Regardless if they become, because they can be catalysts of helping you get connected to others. And when you have a lot of those people out there, honestly, the lead generation process goes a whole lot smoother and you have to do a whole lot less of it. So I might connect with you on email. We might finally get on the phone. We talk a little bit. Again, I'm going to make a decision to take the relationship further in some manner. Maybe I'm doing a workshop and I invite you to come to the workshop. Maybe I am going to a networking event that's a breakfast. I want to invite you to come with me. Or maybe I invite you to lunch or coffee. Like, all these things matter. They're all little nuggets that are going to further the relationship. Last one. Maybe I am doing a workshop and maybe I got connected with you the first time at a networking event and I'm doing a personal workshop about business building principles and how to dramatically grow the profits and revenues of the business. And maybe I just invited you to that and you came, right? So in that room, what's going to happen over 60 to 90 minutes as I'm talking, as I'm sharing, as I'm teaching, that know, like, and trust is going to increase. My likability is going to increase. My view, my prominence is going to increase. And so we are going to begin that relationship. And then I'm going to make an invitation to you, to everyone in that room, 5 to 8, 10 people, whatever it is, about going to the next step, right? And so, but in that, even in that workshop, while I'm going to teach principles, I'm going to give time and space for those people in the room to share a little bit about them. And I'm going to share a little bit about me, things that expose my vulnerability. I might share a little story about my family, why I do what I do, why I'm called to as a strategy to help business owners grow their businesses, right? Like, I'm going to do something like that begins to bridge the gap, draw us closer to where that likability gets to a point where they recognize me, and this is where we're going to end, where they recognize me as the potential guide and solution, regardless if I met them at a networking or a referral. They came to a workshop. I ran them at a gas station. Eventually, it could be 2 days or a year. Eventually, I'm going to make that invitation to where they will have had enough relationship equity. They will have heard enough from me. The likability is there. The expertise is there. The knowledge is there that they see me as a guide. They see me as a strategist to help them go from where they are now to where they want to be. And that's why relationship matters. That's why getting to know people matters. That's why connecting with a lot of people matters, and all the different ways that you can connect to people. Okay? Hope that adds value to you. Went a little bit long today, but hope that adds value to you to understand. Get away from transactional selling. The paying clients will come through the process of relationship building. It's not going to happen with you sitting in your office. It's not going to happen with you sitting behind. You've got to get out there, make connections, shake hands, get on the phone, text people, email people, and create an entire continual activity and momentum about building authenticity with those that you're connected with. Until next time, take care.